I can't say enough how much this trip meant to me. The people that I met, the things that I saw, it had an impact on me that I'll never forget, and hopefully I was able to make a difference in the lives of others as well. Packing beforehand was a challenge. There's always things that you want to take along and you just can't. We headed to Pittsburgh on Monday, November 6th, and met up with Jessica there. Our flight took us from Pittsburgh to Atlanta to Managua. We got to Managua about 9:30 at night. It was hot and sweaty and about 80-some degrees. Our colleagues from Germany were already there. That would be Bettina, Michael, and Marcus. It was a pretty short evening, and everyone just kind of went their ways and agreed to meet up in the morning at breakfast. So we got our game plan together after breakfast and got ready to head out to Jinotega. Jinotega is about 2.5 hours up in the mountainous area of Nicaragua. Much cooler there, which was nice because I think it was 90 degrees in Managua that day. We had picked up Rigoberto and Madelores Ramirez, or Lulu for short. Of course, we had to stop on the way to eat beans and rice and chicken, which was a staple for pretty much every meal while we were there. And because it was such a long ride and it was so hot, we also had to stop for what they called smoothies, although they didn't quite pronounce them that way. The place that we stopped for this just had some beautiful scenery. When we got to Jinotega, we had another planning meeting with Pastor Ruben and the people that we had picked up. Then we headed to his church for worship service, which they have every evening there. And I'm going to let this piece play for you that shows their style of worship. There's a lot of energy and praise and worship that goes into their service, and they live that outside of the church as well in their conversation and everyday life. Notice the light in this picture that looks like a star? That is the cross at the top of the hill. That light shines down over Jinotega. And that is the hill that we are here to plant the trees on. There'll be approximately 600 of them planted up to that light. The next morning after breakfast, we split up and some went to get supplies for the work, and others of us got down to the serious business of taking the presents that we got for the children back to the church. This is a short clip of the song of introduction that the children did for us. And this is the loud raucous time that they had with the parachute that we brought them. So at this point, the real work started. And after picking up crew members in the typical Nicaraguan fashion, we headed up to the work site. We got to the Hill of the Cross, and Pastor Ruben passed out the tools that we would need to dig the holes and clear the areas that we were going to be working in. We started working our way up the hill digging holes. There were 4 different types of trees that were going to be planted, And the people from the local agencies and the nurseries had come along, and they were, they helped to bring supplies, and they would dig out the places where we would need to plant, whether it was with the machetes or whatever we needed. So we would dig holes, and then we would go and get the trees and plant the trees. Sometimes this required several trips up and down the steps here. And just so you know, there's 920 steps from the bottom to the top. And it took us 3 days. We encountered all kinds of things going up the hill. Ants, scorpions, goats, snakes, all kinds of creepy, crawly things. It was Thursday when we finally got to the top. It was much cooler up here, and the steps had given way to a trail. I'm not much for heights, so the hike up to the cross was a bit nerve-wracking. There was a narrow trail, and there was very narrow steps going up to it, and it was just these rock outcroppings with nothing around them, so one wrong footing and you were tumbling down into the valley below. But the view was just absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. There was a pavilion set aside from where the cross was up there, and we had lunch up there, and we played games with the kids. We played hopscotch, which was interesting because there was the rules from Germany, there was the rules from America, and there was the rules from Nicaragua and Mexico. I had a fun time teaching them how to do Miss Mary Mac too. It was a bit windy though. Because we worked so well and finished that job ahead of schedule, we had the pleasure of going and planting more trees in a nursery. Now this was really odd because by the time this day was done, we were planting trees in the jungle. But it was very interesting and beautiful. I remember starting the morning out early and down low by Hinatega and being able to hear the kids playing in the playgrounds and the noise from the city and everything. But as the day went on and we got towards the top, you couldn't hear anything but the swinging of machetes and the noise of people talking around you. It was kind of strange too to look around and see. At that point it was just Jessica and I with about 8 or 9 Nicaraguan guys all wielding machetes. My mother would have been horrified. The funny thing about that was later in the evening we had a pizza party for everyone, and we had given out these glow-in-the-dark wristbands for the kids, but the guys ended up collecting them, and they're wearing bunches of them around their hands and their necks and everything else. So here's these big tough guys that are up there in the woods, wielding these machetes and everything, and they're wearing these glow-in-the-dark wristbands. And then they had a competition to see who could do the best rap song for Christ. Now that was a hoot. I didn't understand all the words that was going on, but boy, they really rose to the challenge of that. It was so much fun to watch. Somehow between work and church in the evening, we found time to do other things. And the one evening we went to a place where they made pottery. And they explained how they had to go to the far hillside and collect the clay and bring it back over and wash it and the whole process. And they didn't have electricity, so they were doing this all manually or by foot in this case.
Entonces sí usa el pie ahí. Sí. So you use your right foot to make it spin.
Sí, entonces aquí voy a centrar el barro.
¿Es lo mismo para adelante o para atrás?
No.
On another evening, they put a presentation on for us showing us the different traditional dances of Nicaragua. Saturday was a fun day. We had finished with the work, so we could actually take our time getting up and get moving. Pastor Reuben came and he took us up to the lake. We met a woman up there with her children. She was washing clothes while they were swimming. They were way in over their head and had no fear. We went from there to the Black Forest, And on the way there, I believe, was the cow incident, as we call it. And Pastor Joe can tell you about that. But at the Black Forest, we ate lunch and everything, and then a couple of us decided to go for a walk. And they had these trails up through the forest, and of course this beautiful church. So we took off on these trails, and you had this rudimentary map to follow. And we're walking up through there and taking pictures and everything. Now this tree is interesting. It's called the killer tree, so it actually creeps out around all the other trees and engulfs them. After we got so far on the trail, we were getting a little worried because the turn that we thought we should have, we didn't have. But it was getting dark. You couldn't even see the trail anymore. It was nothing but a little cow path. We thought we were on the right trail. It actually got very quiet. I think everybody was praying. And then all of a sudden we hit a main road, and it was hallelujah. Sunday morning we got up to say our goodbyes to the people of Hinatega. And for morning devotions, we were in for a treat from Bettina. Then we headed back to Managua, where it was still raining, but they had decorated for Christmas. Our last day in Nicaragua was spent going to see an active volcano. We went to a market, shopped around a little bit, picked up some souvenirs. And of course, we had some more smoothies. And then we went to the lake in Granada, where we were able to feed the monkeys. They're out on this little island. We would feed them little Oreo cookies. Then we went back to our places and kind of packed all of our stuff to get ready to come home the next day. It was kind of a sad evening, saying goodbye to everyone. I would like to go back to Nicaragua again soon. But for now, I'm going to end with a clip of Pastor Ruben with Juan translating.
Because God is our God.
Jesús ha resucitado.
Jesus is risen.
Y Jesús vendrá otra vez.
And Jesus is coming back.
Traemos eso, ¿no?
To make that.